Welcome to our video on the workflow for Sharpen 6. This is the professional version. I've already uploaded a picture of this extremely impressive rhino. Unfortunately, when we zoom in, which is always the first thing we do in Sharpen, it's a bit blurry. So we didn't really focus correctly. Maybe the focus was somewhere at the front here on one of the blades of grass. We didn't notice, and unfortunately, our beautiful picture has gotten blurry. That's exactly where Sharpen comes in. The first decision to make is over on the left here, whether we want to prepare the image in a certain way. For example, we could reduce JPEG artifacts here with this preset, or maybe optimize the raw image. Of course, that works with JPEG too, but it's mainly for raw images. Perhaps we also took a high ISO shot with a lot of image noise. A little automatic advanced denoising is now applied, which you can see here when I press the right mouse button, the original image. When I release the right mouse button, it's the prepared image that hasn't been sharpened yet. Let's stick with the original setting for now. This is the raw image. Now, let's go over to the right to the sharpening module, this large area here. There are loads of things we can now do, but of course, we don't have to do everything for every picture. The first thing to think about is what we want to do with the picture. We have 7 categories for adding sharpness. This is all the presets. That performs a blur correction and a haze and fog correction. The second category is just for blur correction. The third category is fog correction, general image sharpness, portrait, landscape, and artwork. For this picture, let's look at the whole thing again. The exposure is reasonable. We don't have any haze or fog in the picture. So I'd suggest we just use blur correction here. Let's take a closer look at the head so we can see it a bit better. Select category 2, blur correction, and click set automatically. Our image is then analyzed. You can see that down here. In the point spread function, there's a blur analysis in the original image on the left. And the blurring is greatly reduced in the after image, so it's been sharpened. And if we go in closer again and increase the sharpness a bit more, we can overwrite this preset and say do a bit more, or maybe a bit more again. Now we can see it's a bit more effective. And next, I'd recommend we take a look at the contours. So looking here, our contours have become uneven due to the sharpening. Let's go back to the automatic result, or the result of the automatic feature. You'll be able to see it a bit better there. We've got somewhat uneven contours here caused by the sharpening. And to counter that, we can activate super sampling. Let's set the super sampling to 2 by here. The original image is now doubled in area and size, then sharpened, and then scaled back to the original size. That gives us much more smooth contours. So it's a kind of edge smoothing. That's the second decision for us to make here. If anything gets a little too sharp, you can select a soft interpolation here. That makes the contours slightly softer, but that's purely a matter of taste. We'll leave this with 2 by for super sampling on sharp. And our next question is, do we have movements in different directions? That may be due to the wind, for instance, if the branches of a tree are moving in different directions, or maybe we have objects that are moving in different directions slightly. For example, here in this safari setting, we've taken a photo from a distance, and some of the gazelles are running from left to right and some are running from right to left. So we have movements in different directions. If we want to work on that a little, we can use the multi-directional sharpening. Let's set it to the first level. That gives us a little more sharpness, but we don't actually have any movements in different directions in this picture, so it really isn't necessary here. But it can still be used as an additional sharpening tool. I'd still just deactivate it here because there's no multi-directional movement. And if I want more sharpness, maybe here, I can just increase the quality mode for the blur correction. That will give us even more sharpness. If we now have a certain level of halo effect in the image. You may have seen sharpness halos before, especially in dark areas where bright contours often appear at their opposite point. To counter that, we have the new halo reduction feature here. And if I now switch it off, we can see right here that these bright contours have appeared. And if the automatic feature leaves visible bright contours, you can of course turn the halo reduction up some more. However, that always leaves the image slightly less sharp. If the halos in an image are too intense, it appears over sharp. And the new method we've developed really helps to get these halos under control. All the other settings at the bottom here can be changed whenever you want. They're the photographic settings, so image brilliance, brightness, color, more structure. You can set them all at any time. We haven't looked at this area yet, so I'll show you it in the other picture. This is the directional blur, which you can activate if you have lateral blurring or upward or downward blurring in your image. And now, once we've set our basic sharpening settings, if we want to get even more precise, which we don't have to, we could switch the interface to professional mode, which shows us a whole load of other options. For instance, the quality can be further adjusted, the fineness can be adjusted. Down here we have the PSF function, or the blur analysis. We also have the option of turning up its accuracy. That lets us get a bit more out of it again, but it's not a necessity, it's available as an additional option. Most images can be sharpened very well in compact mode without any issues. Great. Let's take a look at the second picture. I'll use the history viewer here. I've already prepared the image. Now let's reset the super sampling again. It remains activated for the next image. The sharpness settings are reset unless you change them in the settings. So here under extras and settings, you can set them here so the sharpness settings are not reset with the new image. But resetting them makes sense because every picture has its own specific requirements. And if we take a closer look here, we can clearly see a Doppler effect, a kind of ghost image, which is caused by shake. Let's leave category 1 set, all the presets, so blur and haze and fog correction, and just click set automatically. And we can instantly see we have lateral blurring right here, and this blurring goes to the right. We can see that the object is moving lengthways here, and to the right of it is another Doppler effect. And from this, we can see that the blur is going to the right. And if the blur is going to the right, we can correct it to the right here. So let's click the arrow pointing to the right, and this is then corrected for us accordingly. It's not perfect, but it's a significant improvement. We can also now increase the quality mode. Let's go to the third quality mode, Pro Plus, which will make it a bit better. And now I'll switch off the directional blur again and turn it on again, just so you can see the difference. This manual directional sharpening feature is also brand new. That adds this directional blur correction to the general blur correction. So once we've finished sharpening our image, we now have the option of using any of the modules in here for general image editing. Let's hide the sharpening module for the moment. And now we can switch on all the modules here. We've got selective editing, the color module, LUT styles, AI filters, which are available as delivered here, and which you can also train yourself with our AI filters program. Here we have sensor error correction, a focus peaking module, and a watermark module. There's another video for that. Please feel free to check that out. Let's reset that for now and turn the sharpness back on. So that was a quick summary of the workflow. The program lets you complete your work really quickly. Another quick tip, there's a new save function, quick save, which automatically saves the result directly to the folder where you loaded the image as a JPEG file. Just press Shift and S to save your image. Well, I hope I managed to give you a little insight into the workflow here. Now just try it out for yourself. See you next time.